Hey everybody, what's going on? You are listening to the Playing On Podcast. My name is Cory Markowski, and thank you for joining me. Are you going to be at World Cup? I'm going to be at World Cup. And not only will I be playing, but I will have a Playing On Podcast booth in the vendor area at World Cup. I'll be doing live podcasts from there. I'll be hanging out in the morning. I have afternoon session, so everything I'll be doing from 8 until probably about 11:30. At my booth, but make sure you check it out. I have some banners up there to let everybody know where I'm going to be at as far as the booth goes. So just keep an eye out and come over, say hi, say hello. I'll be doing all kinds of stuff from there. So make sure you keep an eye out. But before we get into the podcast, a big thank you to our sponsors, Dr. Paintball, who has been supporting this podcast for a while now, and it's been really cool. I mean, it's a store and a field out of San Diego, California, and they are doing everything to help out the paintball community, not only with the tournament players, but also with the rec ball players. And if you go to their website, drpaintball.com, you can finance all kinds of paintball equipment, from the newest, hottest stuff out there, from planet markers to die markers to use gear. So it's very, very cool. Make sure you go over there and check it out, drpaintball.com. Another big thank you goes to GI Sports, who provides myself and Aftershock with some very slick gear. One thing that I've actually been growing to love is the LVL loader. At first, honestly, I was a little sketchy at first. I mean, any new loader throughout the years for me, any new loader that comes out, it always has bugs and all this stuff. And honestly, I got handed one of these LVL loaders, and this thing is pretty slick. Like I said, I've shot a lot of loaders throughout my time, and the way this thing comes apart, the way it operates, how easily maintained it is. Its reliability, it is very, very cool. So make sure you go over and check out at gisports.com the LVL loader, along with all kinds of pants, jerseys, and paint as well. So thank you to GI Sports. We are also brought to you by Charm City Paintball, who have an array of different fabrics and designs and all kinds of headbands, headgear, and also, he's going to be at World Cup too. So he's going to have a booth down at World Cup. He's going to have all kinds of head wraps and headbands and all kinds of everything down there. So make sure you keep an eye out for Charm City Paintball down at World Cup. And last but not least, we are brought to you by Planet Eclipse. And y'all know what I shoot from Planet Eclipse. the LVR, the Tiger Stripe LVR that has been nothing but just shooting so smooth for me. I had a couple people last weekend at practice shoot it, and then after they came up, they were like, dude, this gun shoots so nice. So nice. I was like, I know. Half of what I'm doing out on the field is not me, it's the gun. So, no, but Planet has been very supportive over the years, and not only do they make some of the most amazing markers on the planet, but they're really down to earth, very cool people too, and that they want to grow the sport. So thank you so much to Planet Eclipse, and that's it. That's the ads. That is the ads. We're done. So if you fast forwarded, this is where we are now. But Cory Feild from the Naughty Dogs, and then now this is how I knew him, was from the Naughty Dogs, and now Seattle Thunder. And keeping it alive, man. These guys, they have a good mix of old and new, and Cory does a great job, I feel, of that, containing that mix of keeping the new guys in check and teaching them the ways. And Cory's such a nice guy, man. It's hard to imagine him getting mad at something that went wrong. I feel like he's like, well, it happens, learn from it, let's go. It's very cool. And I completely forgot that he had a twin brother, and it was just very cool to hear kind of his story and how paintball in the Pacific Northwest kind of how it's growing. And he was telling me too that it's growing right now, and how that Seattle Thunder is really helping out in the community. And you guys will have to listen to it. It was a very cool conversation. But thank you so much to Cory. And without further ado, here it is. Hope you guys enjoy. Dude, I had a job that was 2.5 hours away today, and it was just every other thing was just kind of like 2 steps back, and just trying not to rush, but trying to go as fast as possible without like setting me too far behind. And I just made it. Like, we probably could have did it at 5, but I wouldn't have been able to shower. Yeah.
You gotta look good.
Yeah, we're in the process too of like moving our shop in Toledo. We're moving like 10 minutes down the road into a little bit nicer neighborhood and better building, so it's gonna be nice.
It's good.
Yeah.
Hopefully nothing gets robbed.
Well, the thing is, like, the place we're at now is a really high crime rate, and there's always fires, shootings. Last month, there was some lady sitting on the corner mooning all the cars going by, and it's never really a dull moment, but it's better that we're moving for sure.
Ugh. No, thanks. I'll stick to Oregon.
So you're in Oregon. You're not in Seattle?
No, I'm the only guy in Oregon. All the rest of the guys are in Seattle.
Now, was the original Naughty Dogs all from Oregon?
Except for the ones that were out of town, like Colt Roberts and Hector Cardonia. We are all Oregonians, right. Yeah.
So let's, just like all the other ones, my main thing with these podcasts is like knowing how this whole thing came about with these players, right? How did you get to the spot you are now? And I want to go back to little baby Cory and how you discovered paintball, and hopefully it wasn't a birthday party. I'm trying to figure out different ways that you discovered paintball.
I didn't discover paintball at a birthday party. My brother did. And then
at a birthday party, though?
Yeah. And I was too afraid to go play. I stuck to baseball and soccer in high school.
Yeah.
But I was on the computer one night doing homework, and my brother needed the computer. And I told him to get bent, and he shot me with a paintball gun. And
what? In the house?
It was on. Yep, and we played paintball in the house that night, and I was hooked ever since. My mom didn't like it because we repainted the house.
Oh yeah. I forgot your brother played.
Yeah.
I mean, he played on your team on the Naughty Dogs, right?
Yeah, we played on Exile together, and then the Naughty Dogs together. And then he branched off and played for the Ironmen for a couple years, and then left after that, I think.
So did let's go back to when you and your brother were playing paintball in the house, whatever. When did it turn into something serious for you? Like, obviously you got hooked to it and wanted to start playing it, but when did it start to become something that you really wanted to start to put your time and effort towards?
After that night, if my brother can play it, I always thought I could do it better than him. So anytime he did sports, it was, because we're identical twins, right? So,
oh really?
If one guy plays something, the other guy thinks he can do it better, so he's automatically going to go right into it and try and do it better. Mm-hmm. At least that's our mentality. So when he played soccer, I started playing soccer. When he played football, I tried to play football. It's one of those things. When he was playing paintball, I'm like, I can do it, and I can do it better. And besides, you can put paint on your brother legally. Come on, that's the way to do it. Yeah.
So which one's the older brother by seconds or minutes?
You got to ask that question, don't you? He's 7 minutes older, so I'm the younger one.
So what's it like growing up with somebody who looks like you, same height, size, facial expression? I mean, I guess what is different about you guys that you notice, like, growing up?
Well, everybody says his nose is bigger, so that's a difference. Casey is more of the political side. He actually thinks before he speaks, and I'm the opposite. I say before I should think. Maybe that's why Casey's a police officer and I'm not. So, but there was always competitiveness between us, and we actually got along really well, believe it or not. So we played sports together on the same team. Like we played Legion baseball, played paintball together. We worked a lot of the same jobs together, just because we could work nonstop together, and it was fine.
Yeah. Now,
there were those arguments sometimes.
Is it true that you guys kind of have that twin intuition kind of a thing, where you kind of know what each other's gonna do or say or think or anything like that?
I mean, we're not psychic to each other, but when it comes to paintball, I always knew what he wanted to do when he was in front of me.
Yeah.
And it's just like work. I always knew what he was thinking, just because we have kind of the same mentality. Right. I would say. I don't think it was more psychic. It was just, we're the same people almost, except for the outside features. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah.
You have any other siblings?
I do have a sister who lives in New Orleans. She's pretty high up in Chevron.
Really?
Believe it or not. Yeah. She loves it there. So she moved like a year after Katrina happened there. So she loves it. I think she's in Africa right now. Doing her thing with the Chevron. So she's having fun, living life.
Jeez.
Can't complain.
Yeah. Now, have you always grown up in Oregon?
I think 4 years we lived in Guam. My dad was in the Navy, so we lived over there for a little bit, and then I've been born here, and then we moved right back after the 4 years in Guam. So I've been here since 4.5.
What part of Oregon are you from?
I was born in Coquille, which is on the coast, so it's about 2 hours south of where I live now, which is basically Eugene, Oregon. So,
is that where the field? Is the field pretty close?
The field is in Harrisburg, Oregon, so it's 20 minutes north of Eugene and about 4 hours south of Seattle, Washington. So,
I remember when I lived in Seattle. I just the scenery alone was like, it just blew my mind what it was. It wasn't too hot. Obviously, there was rain, but it wasn't as much as I thought there was going to be. And just being able to have the ocean right there, and then the sound, like Puget Sound was right there, and I think it's Mount Rainier that's right over there. It's just, it was beautiful.
Yeah, Oregon, a lot of people hate this place because of the rain, but we're not even in the top 15 northwest-wise for rainfall in the U.S. So
yeah,
it pours here sometimes, but it also makes it beautiful here. Sometimes I hate living here, but then I'll travel somewhere like Chicago, Florida, and I'm like, I can't wait to go back. It's weird.
I just talked to J-Rab last week and did a podcast with him, and he lives down in Florida, and he talks about like just walking outside and just sweating. I mean, we've been to World Cup how many times, and it's you walk outside, you think about walking outside, and you start sweating.
That's 100% true. And then the wall of rain that comes at you. So you have a wall of rain in Florida that drenches you, and then 2 minutes later you're dry and sweating.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Jeez. So what do you not like about Oregon?
Man, that's a good question. The speed limit's slow here.
Really?
Yeah, we only can go to 65 miles an hour on the freeway.
Oh, jeez.
It's like 80 in California.
I think our highest over here is 70. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the rain does suck here, and it also gets really muddy. So it's not. If you don't have a four-wheel drive vehicle, Oregon kind of sucks, especially in the snow. Like, we've been getting a lot of snow here these last couple of years, so
yeah,
it's rough sometimes.
Let's go back to when your brother and you were playing paintball. When did your brother find a team first, and then did you hop on, or did you guys both kind of simultaneously find a team to play for?
My brother kind of made his own team, and I wasn't really good friends with any of his friends, so I went to the local indoor paintball field, which was Paintball Palace, which I think is still in business. And I played for a team, Kurt Williams, who used to play for the Turtles way, way back in the day. He had a team, Outrage. And so I just started playing woods ball with them, just kind of goofing off on the weekends and shooting my nice PMP Super Cocker that I bought for $900 back in the day. And it kind of went from there. Kurt guested with the Naughty Dogs a little bit. That's how I met Rocky. And, it was just kind of fun, but competitive at the time, way back when I think it was 96. Yeah, 96 is when I started playing. So,
jeez.
Yeah, we're old, Carl.
Yeah, I'm in the 2000. Let's see. I discovered paintball, I think, in the end of 2001, beginning of 2002 season is when I kind of discovered paintball, and then I was just like right to tournaments and competitiveness and doing all that shit. So I'm not 96 old yet. I'm getting there. I'm definitely feeling it. So how did the Naughty Dogs thing come about? I mean, did you guys go from from Casey having his own team to right to the Naughty Dogs and playing with Rocky, or was it a couple more teams before the Naughty Dogs, and how did that come about?
I mean, when my brother started his own team, they kind of fell apart. I think 1997, end of 97, we decided to make our own team, local teams called the Carnival Clowns. Yeah. We were all clowns. And we played a lot of local events. We traveled to Washington, Utah for like the Great Western Series and stuff like that back in the day. And we just played paintball. Every chance we got to play paintball. There wasn't a lot of competition because Outrage played woods balls, and when it came to playing the Great Western Series, there was a lot of open instead of woods balls. So that's when I think when the interchange started to do like hyperball. A lot of tournaments started interchanging the hyperball tubing and stuff like that into some tournaments. Yeah. And Albany Outdoor Paintball, which is where Rocky had his team, the Naughty Dogs, was like an hour away from us. And of course, we're 14 years old, 15 years old. We have no car. Mom's not going to take us up there. So we actually took the Greyhound bus up to practice all the time and then walked from the Greyhound
really
to the practice when we could. And of course, it was the Naughty Dogs. They were the best team in Oregon at that time. So we wanted to play where the best competition was. Yeah. And we played there multiple years. And then there was a team Exile from Canada that they were down practicing the Naughty Dogs one time and saw me and my brother, and they asked us to try out for them. So we drove up to basically Canada and tried out for them in 2001. Yeah, 2001. And played for Exile. That's how we met Rocky, because we always practiced against him when we were on Exile, basically.
Oh, gotcha.
But before that, we didn't really like Rocky because he was angry, and he shot us a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I went to school yellow because I was Ultra Evil days. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I looked like I had jaundice. I couldn't get it off because it was iodine. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. And Rocky was kind of known for that, wasn't he? He was kind of known for the shooting people a lot and being this kind of I don't want to say like mean, overbearing guy, but there's just a very prominent figure that people were afraid of.
Yeah, I mean, he was. Yeah, a lot of people were afraid of him. But after the outer shell of angry Filipino/Hawaiian, he's actually a pretty good guy. But yeah, he shot us a lot. But I mean, when you go and try and play people that are better, and you make one of those good moves, and you angry him or anybody, they're going to shoot you a couple more times just to think about it, right? So.
Yeah, of course. So you guys practicing them. You're playing for the Canadian team. You're practicing against the Naughty Dogs and Rocky and everybody. Was there like a tournament that came around where they were needing guys, or did you guys have a practice where you two kind of stood out, or was it just one of you and one of you made the jump, or?
Actually, we both played on Exile till the end of 2002, and right before World Cup 2002, the Naughty Dog Silver team, which was the Amateur B team at the time, because they were still doing Amateur A and Amateur B at that time. Yeah. the amateur B team wanted to play paintball, and I actually started not to get along with the captain of Exile. His name was Garland, and that was literally right after we won Exile and Atlanta, or we won Chicago and Atlantic City 10-man on Exile.
Really?
And then we kind of just didn't get along, so I was like, I'm leaving. My brother's like, you're stupid. So I left and played for Naughty Dog Silver at World Cup while he played with Exile, and we ended up beating Joy Division, but that was the only game we won.
Yeah.
For Naughty Dog Silver, and Casey ended up taking, I think they took 4th that tournament. But after that, Rocky, we were at practice, and Rocky asked both my brother and I to play for him at the amateur A level. They had just won the amateur A division for that year, and they were going to play one more year before they went pro, and he needed younger guys than what he had, so we started practicing with him, and we got a starting spot.
Now, was this one was Tyler McCluskey and Map and everybody on the team at this time?
Map, funny story. Map left Exile first. Map was on Exile.
Oh, really?
Yep, from 2000 to 2001, and then he left. He left and played for the Naughty Dogs at the season starting 2001 to 2002, whenever the Naughty Dogs basically went away. Right. But yeah, he left first, and then man, that's a long time ago, bro. God damn.
I know. Coming at you with the hard questions.
McCluskey actually played on Exile with us, Chicago on. So he played when we won Chicago. Actually, we took second Atlantic City, so that's my fault. We didn't win Atlantic City. We took second. And he played Atlantic City, and then we kind of all just left at the same time.
So the Naughty Dogs, that whenever I think of the Naughty Dogs and that roster, I mean, you guys had already pretty much knew each other in one way or another, the guys who were on that team anyway. The 2004, 5, 6 team. In one way or another, you guys had played with each other or eventually found your way onto Naughty Dogs.
Yeah, I mean, we played. Most of the core guys knew each other, played with each other for years, and then you had those extra special guys that were really good that could travel and then just come to a couple practices and play with us, like Colt, Eric Hunter, Hector Cardonia, and then you had like Brian Ravenel, who ended up going to the Ironman. Mike Foss ended up going to the Ironman. So, yeah.
Yeah, I almost came and played for you guys. Well, almost came and tried out for you guys. I had well, actually, before we get into that, how was BW a part of the team? Like, what was he, a manager? Was he a coach?
Well, BW's always worked in the paintball industry as a paint. The guy that he worked for Draxis when I met him way back in the day, and him and Rocky, I don't know how him and Rocky met. I just, I showed up to a couple practices with Exile and I could see him hanging out. So I assumed that they met when, obviously Rocky was sponsored by Draxis and they had to coexist with each other. But ended up, he wasn't really a coach or a manager. He just was one of those guys that was basically family to us. He hung out with us, got us paint whenever we needed it. He was always working the paint trucks, so we always had somewhere to sleep during hour-long games in between. So we slept under the paint truck, and I don't think he really had a manager-coach role with the Naughty Dogs. He just was just one of those guys that we hung out and had fun together for many, many years.
I don't know how I got directed to him, though, because I knew I was moving to Seattle, and I was looking for a paintball team to play for, but I was like, screw it, I'm gonna try out for a pro team. And I don't know how I got directed his way. I don't know if I can't believe Rocky would send me his way. I would want to talk to Rocky, but I mean, I don't know how it came about, but yeah, I remember it was that same event. It was Las Vegas in 2004, and I talked to him about it, and I was like, yeah, I'm moving to Seattle, this and that, and then the whole excessive thing happened, and I can't imagine like what would have happened if I would have moved out and played with you guys. Like, I obviously would have got better. I mean, it's not like you guys were a bad team at all. I think you guys. One thing about Naughty Dogs, I always think of it was either one or the other. I feel like you guys would either play really well and beat whoever was on the other side of the field. Didn't matter. I saw you guys win games against Dynasty, against whoever was on the other side of the field. And then other games I saw, it was like, it's kind of, it almost has that feeling of how almost Seattle Thunder is, and kind of how the aftershock of today is. Like, we can go out there, and if everybody's on the same page, we will beat anybody. It'll just happen. But I feel like if one or two guys are off, like, the whole team just kind of, can't find their ground at that point. I feel like that's how the Naughty Dogs were back then. But it's still, you guys are still so prominent in the game. Like, how do you feel about the or what do you think about the Naughty Dogs of back in the day?
I mean, when we went pro, we started off pretty well. I mean, we'd always lose to Dynasty in the finals, so it was always taking second or third. But we were more like a defensive team, and sometimes those field layouts would work well, and sometimes they would not work well for a defensive team, because we had, like my brother and Tyler. Those were the only two quick people on the team. All the rest of them were, like me, Rocky, Raymond, Trevor. We're not fast. We shoot our guns and we move slowly. And some of those field layouts, right off the break, they're past the 50 on our side. And those are the games we would lose because we weren't that aggressive team that was in your face, time to go get you, fuck it kind of thing. And that, like I said, sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't for professional paintball. I mean, it's hit and miss on these field layouts. And back then, you had 8 fields you had to walk.
Yeah.
By the seventh field, you're like, screw it. This field looks good. We're only playing in it. Back then we were playing novice teams and amateur teams. So we're like, we're just playing this team. Well, we don't need to walk it. And then it ends up we only win by like 2 bodies.
Yeah.
We didn't even walk it.
Yep.
So, it's just another thing is Rocky never really liked going to practice, other pro teams. We practiced ourselves. We did a lot of drills. And I think that was a deciding factor too, because sometimes we would practice teams, but we weren't like Texas Storm or Dynasty or Ironman, constantly traveling and practicing these teams to see what pro teams were doing.
So what I want to bring up, and what I've always thought about too, was about pro teams, professional paintball teams, how everybody says, well, you got to play more pro teams. You got to play other pro teams. You got to play other pro teams. I mean, is it that? Because it's not like hockey teams or professional football teams or anybody else go out and practice, other professional teams. Like they're doing what they need to do, drills or whatever within their own camp. Like, do you really need to go out and have a different look from a pro team because you have players on your team that should be at that same level? Do you know what I mean?
No, I agree. Yeah, I 100% know what you mean.
I mean, do you think that is a big factor?
I think for a team like me, yes, because my team and some of the lower level teams, like, I hear like Revel doesn't practice pro teams at all. And the reason why I think we as teams are struggling is A, probably money, and B, we are in regions to grow paintball. That's my whole goal for Seattle Thunder, is to grow divisional players into professional paintball players.
Right.
And yes, we could do drills all we want and get all the, get the small things hashed out, but unless we go as a team with those kids and practice other pro teams, I don't think they're going to understand how quick professional paintball is. It's just like a college athlete going from being a safety in college football and then trying to play his first game in pro football. It's way quicker, totally different. And I think for somebody like my team, you have to go practice other pro teams at least a couple times a year, just so
to gain that
everybody is on the
experience.
same page. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or else they're never going to know. They're just going to know another thing is, for instance, like when we're doing 2-on-2s and everything like that here, here in this rainy weather, I know what Map's going to do. He's going to come out left, he's going to come out right, and come over the top, right? Because that's just how I know him.
Right.
And those practices aren't that beneficial when you're practicing each other for so long, because you know everybody's tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's right-handed, he's always going to come right-handed. When you're practicing something like Dynasty, and say like Ryan Greenspan or even you guys, where especially we don't have no idea where you're going to go on the field. Sometimes you're on the Dorito side, sometimes you're on the snake side, sometimes you're running through the wall. You want to play those unpredictable people just to get your wits about you, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, do you think there would be a way to kind of portray that at a practice when you know, like us, like I do a lot of the stuff that I do, I try and put myself in a situation that I might be in at a tournament, right? Because I know I might not be able to get, not that there's nothing against my guys, but a lot of them don't have the experience like, the other pro teams do and the other pro players. So I try and put myself in those different situations of where my back's against the wall, but I put myself there, but it's because I know I could possibly be there in the tournament. Or go into a spot that I might not be able to make at the tournament, or I might be able to make. I kind of play it off in different scenarios in my head. Do you think that there's a way within drills or just outright playing or telling a player what to do to copy a team's play? I guess it's so hard because you're always playing yourselves. We have the same problem. I don't know. I'm trying to find the answer to it. I really don't know what it is.
I know since Mikey Lou, because when I first started Seattle Thunder, it was me coaching and playing, and that definitely doesn't work. So when I brought Mikey Lou on to just coach, he was actually really good at doing that. So we do 2-on-2 drills, half field, and he would make us get into, like, if I was a back guy, I was the guy playing front.
Yeah.
Because I was in a non-comfortable situation, trying to gun battle from a different spot than I'm normally used to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you get better as a professional paintball player. Is you always want to be uncomfortable, because the more uncomfortable you are at practice, the more comfortable you're going to be at a tournament, in my opinion. So there are ways, but it comes down to sometimes wanting to play other people beside yourselves and lumping other people too.
Yeah. I wonder what that's like with other professions of the hockeys and the footballs and everything. Is like, does practice ever get boring because they're only playing themselves? Or is it just a completely different level that we can't really fathom because it's hockey or football or baseball?
And in my opinion, what makes paintball a little bit different than those sports is basketball is 2 hoops going down the field, going down the court, and playing defense, offense, running zone defenses.
Mm-hmm.
Same with football. You have an end zone, all that stuff. You watch play. With paintball, it's a different field layout every time, right? And,
everybody
you don't
has
have
the ball.
Those, yeah, and sometimes the back guy can go right up to the W. Sometimes the back guy can't move at all.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there's no back bunker, which I hate, by the way, because then I have to run. But paintball is a different dynamic sport where you could play every different position on the field in one point.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, in football, you don't do that. In basketball, you kind of do that. Hockey, it's just an ice rink and you're going back and forth and you have to have a lot of cardio and know how to skate, which I don't. But, paintball is just a little bit, I think that's why I keep playing it, is it's so dynamic that any given day is something totally different. You see something totally different every day at practice, at tournaments, and it's just different. I don't know how to explain it. It's just a little bit different than all the other sports I've played.
Yeah. Have you ever made the decision to did you make the decision just to play back, or did you ever have the urge to play as a front player when you first got on, started playing tournament paintball?
When I was with Exile, I was the front 50 guy. I was the guy that went up the middle, bunkered 2 people, and then left because it was 10 men, right?
Yeah.
And same thing with when we first started the Naughty Dogs. I was kind of the mid insert. I'd run halfway up the field, and my brother would run all the way up the field, and then would kind of clean up in front of Raymond, Rocky, Shane Weisner, and Brian Megson, who was the back guys. But then when we slowly started progressing in the 7-man, and I started getting a little bigger round wise, I had to start playing in the back. And in my opinion, as a back guy, if you can transition from a front guy to the back guy in professional paintball, then you can pretty much do anything on the field. Like, I wasn't. How do I explain this?
I mean,
I wasn't one of those guys. I wasn't one of those guys that, was able to read a field at first. So the front thing was just what I was able to do. Right here, go over here, kill this guy, and that's it.
Yeah.
But as a back guy, you have to more think instead of a front guy. I think that's why you play back sometimes and then play front, right? Because you actually are a thinker on the team. But there are some of those players that play professional paintball because they can't think. All they do is kill.
Yeah.
So I was able to transition to the back, not because I wanted to, but I feel like that's where I need to be on the field to help my team succeed.
So it was a personal decision to kind of move back and start taking your time a little bit and reading the field a little bit more?
Yeah, Rocky wanted me to play back because he basically said, he goes, if you can't play back, then you can sit and play front when your time comes, or you can play back and play all the time. So I was like, well, that's a given. I'll play back, play every point if I have to. And, if I have to go stab somebody, I'll stab somebody.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think that's why? Because I always tell people, like, whenever they ask me about who has one of the better shots in the game, I've always mentioned your name. I think you have one of the best shots. I've seen you pull off 2-on-1s and 1-on-1s, and is that something that you really, with not playing other pro teams and just the teams that you did play against, is that something that you kind of drilled into your head, and like snap shooting and your shot? Is that something that you worked on a lot?
I think what helped me is when I first started playing paintball, was in the woods, right? So you're shooting through these little holes that you have to be accurate in shooting because you have these little cracks you can shoot somebody through. So I think it has progressed me to be a better shot. But I think what has helped me in those 1-on-2s and 1-on-3 situations is I had an uncle who was an Army Ranger. Yeah. He came and watched one of my practices at a young age when I was just starting professional paintball. And he watched me play, I think, 3 points. And he looked at me and says, "What in the fuck are you doing?" Because I was just everywhere. I was freaking out, running around, not knowing what to do. Because, there's 4 of them and it's just me. He's like, "Bro, first of all, you need to calm the fuck down." Because he mentioned paintball kind of like the military, even though it's not. He says, when I go and kick in the door of a house, I have no idea what I'm doing. I go, my goal is to shoot the first person I see. And I'm calm the whole time. I was like, okay, what does that got to do with me? He goes, well, if you shoot the first person that's closest to you, it's going to be better not to get shot in the side of the fucking head.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, but still, how is this portraying to paintball and what you do? And he's just basically like, if you're just not going to stay calm and freak out, you are no good to anybody at all, because you might get 1 or 2 kills, but you're not going to kill them all. I think that's why I'm so calm now, is because it doesn't matter if it's 1-on-4, 1-on-5. I feel like I can win those, even though I might win 20% of them. Yeah. But, I'm always, doing laning drills, 1-shot drills. Mikey's always putting me in 1-on-2 situations. If it's in the snake, the W, my job is to clean house when my front guys go and kill 2 or 3 people or 4 people. Right. I feel like if I don't win those 1-on-2s, I'm not doing my job. That's how I feel. But at a young age, all I did was shoot through little holes in the woods, or go to indoor and shoot all the kids that are hiding in those little crevices. So I feel like my shot has been better because of how I grew up playing indoor and playing in the woods and stuff like that. So it might be a little bit better than most, but there are some people like Birnikov that have that fucking just shot galore, jumping over a can and shooting you once is just, I can't do that.
Yeah, that's silly.
Yeah.
That's
or
funny.
Even you.
I've had my occasional good shot every once in a while. But it's funny that you bring up the calmness and thinking that way, because I'm listening to a book right now called The Obstacle is the Way, and it's by Ryan Holiday. And it's a lot of it is about controlling yourself, your feelings, your emotions, being calm and thinking clearly, pretty much. And it's amazing how much that applies to paintball. And being in those situations, like me, I like being in down body situations. I don't like being in down. I feel comfortable even when we're in down body situations. I'll put it that way, because I feel like already I'm at an advantage, because I could put myself in a position where if it's like a 2-on-4 or 2-on-3, the other team probably thinks they have the advantage already, but I think we have the advantage, because now I feel like I can predict what they're gonna do more than what they think we're gonna do. Because they got to move, they got to shoot us, so they got to get down the field, because I'm not going to get shot out of my spot in a 2-on-4. I will shoot you before that happens. But it's like they are on the offensive, right? And you're kind of on the defensive, but I feel like it's a give and go. I feel like I'm always on the offensive, in the fact that as long as I always have paint, air, and my lens is clean, I feel like I'm always on the offensive, because I think everybody does, because you can always make, not necessarily the move, but you can always make the shot that switches the field around or turns the point around. And I don't like it when a lot of it now, like when fields become a lot bottled up and people sit and they become content and everything, and how I've been preaching a lot of M4 pod and a loader kind of a thing, where I think the European League, the Millennium, going from unlimited paint all the way down to 2, I think was way too extravagant. I think it brought up that guys are going to shoot, but then they're not going to want to move rather quickly because they're out of paint already. So they're not going to want to move within a minute because all their paint's gone. But if you can put 4 pods on somebody's back and everybody has 4 pods, I think that is a great amount to have a good 2.5 minute games. And if it goes any longer, I feel like it's because of the field, but we can always change the designs of the field. And it's what the hell was my original point about this rant? It was mainly about being calm and like knowing what to do in situations. But over the years, we've learned to do that, right? We've through experience, we've learned what to do in certain situations. But I feel like that time could literally be cut in half if paintball is situational. But if you can teach the young kids growing up in the game now to be calm and be confident and be able to think through a situation, I feel like if I would have known that back then, I would be 10 times the player I am today. But I think the mental side can be taught so much younger, and bring players up a lot quicker than what it could have, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, it's the game obviously is 80% mental, and it's all about the captain and the coach too. How he progresses, getting better to his players. If he's constantly screaming, telling him he sucks, it's never gonna work. You always got to have that driving force of always, trying to compliment, but trying to, how did I say it when I was the general manager at Dish Network? I called it discipline without punishment, which is weird, but you got to, sit them down, talk to them about what they're failing on, and try and give them different ways to be better instead of just saying, hey man, you suck, you got shot by this guy, fix it. Yeah. It's, we, in my opinion, you and myself and other people like Ryan Greenspan, Oliver Lang when he was playing, we as people have to try and, teach the younger kids, or else we're not going to have professional paintball in 5 years, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly.
I do yell sometimes, but I try not to at practice.
Mm-hmm.
I have a younger team, and I gotta find different ways of trying to get them better than just saying they suck.
Well, I think I'm not saying that I have the answer, because I'm one that is hugely at fault at becoming overheated and yelling in the pit when it's not yelling, but getting very, very frustrated and taking it out on others, because I know that the guys on my team, even though they're young, they know how to play. I mean, the potential's through the roof for these guys, and I know they have the talent, and I know they can do it. And when I don't see it coming through, it frustrates the shit out of me, because it's another event in the fucking toilet, right? But I think it's so weird, and it probably sounds cheesy as shit, but like listening to this book / reading it, but mostly listening, has really kind of brought something to the table for me. And it, if you think about paintball, right, there's a definite kind of end game. If you don't do your job, right, you get shot, or you get somebody shot. Mm-hmm. And I think thinking about it now, like me yelling about it or bitching and complaining or whatever I did in the pit completely ended with no kind of positive at all. And I think if we can get across to the kids and the guys playing on the team that are younger, that you will know in this game, in this sport of paintball, you will know whether or not you're doing well, because you're either still on the field when that game is going on, or you're watching from the sidelines because you have a giant goggle hit. Mm-hmm. You will learn your mistakes really, really, really quickly. And I think that should, in the player themselves, that should be the motivator, right? If you're getting shot a shit ton, something is wrong. If I can teach you as an experienced player, if I can teach you and show you a way in a positive manner, I'm going to do that. But there needs to be a reality where you are getting better and growing with the team and getting better, or you're just not going to cut it. I mean, people can talk the talk all they want, as we've seen people come and go through the sport, but unless you actually put the foot forward and take action, then you're going to be stagnant in this spot and not go anywhere. So that's what I want to see out of these younger kids too, and guys on our teams with younger players, is seeing that progression, seeing that step forward of wanting to be better, wanting to get better, and less complaining and bullshitting, and more just how it was when we first started playing paintball, is wanting to do nothing but learn and play. Like that mm-hmm. is what I feel that we need and what we need to teach coming up.
I agree with that.
I don't
say it better myself.
I don't know what else to do too, because I feel like paintball, and we've talked about this too, and I'm sure you've had the same conversation with people, and we're trying to figure out how to grow the sport, right? Not only paintball itself, but bring attention to the professional side and the tournament side of the game. And because it's exciting, right? It's adrenaline rushed. It's everything that you want it to be as a player. And it's finding that, is it just too fucking confusing for people to watch who've never played it before to actually follow? Like, how do we bring that to the sport? How do we get Nike so involved that they want to start dumping millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars into the sport or into a team or into a player because they're going to sell product? Like, what is missing? Cory, please tell me what the fuck is missing.
If I knew it was missing, I'd have my own league. Coming from showing people outside of paintball, the industry, it's everybody's got to change. You know, the people that actually run the booths, the people that play paintball. When I brought, I'm not going to say his name, but when I brought the person who works for a big substantial company into paintball World Cup 2 years ago, the only thing he could say was, everybody I've met are clowns and everybody bitches.
Really?
And he was right. Like, everybody he met, except for a couple people, wouldn't give him the time of day because they didn't know who he was, right?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't put himself as, "Hi, I'm the CEO of this company," because then people would change, right?
Right.
So he put himself as just a Joe Smo wanting to learn about paintball, and he was basically, get away from me. You've taken 5 minutes of my time. That's all it's going to be. It was
I don't
an eye opener
understand it.
for me, actually,
Yeah.
watching some people do that, because
Professional players or just anybody in the industry?
everybody, I could name so many people, but
Wow.
I was disappointed, and I'm part of it, right? Like I told this dude, "Hey, this is what I do. You need to do it. You'll love it." And he's like, "Dude, that was dumb." I've never met so many arrogant, full of themselves people that just don't even want to. He basically said, "Don't even want to grow." And at some point, he's right. We need to, maybe give a free repcast for half a year to people
Mm-hmm.
so they can watch it. When ESPN was on, when paintball was on ESPN, it didn't get a lot of votes because it was 7-man. It was slow. You know what I mean? They were going to time. We honestly don't know what the answer is. Maybe faster field layouts, M400, like you said, or M800, 4 pods and let it rip.
Yeah.
But something's got to change for people like Nike, Reebok, Under Armour, people to come in and actually say, "Hey, I want to put my logo on every bunker out here."
Yeah.
But until the higher up people in the industry, and I mean everybody, can get on the same page, we'll always be stagnant in this industry, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It trickles down.
I think we've had the opportunities too. I think the opportunities have been there. I mean, paintball itself, I don't think is going. I mean, I don't think is going away anytime soon. I mean, paintball it's a game where too many people love. It's not fucking cup stacking, right? It is a sport that is very prominent in the extreme sports side of things, but it isn't. It hasn't caught the attention of not necessarily the right people yet, but I think we're so in the sport itself. I feel like we're so egotistical and so entitled to our own everything that I don't know if we can open up our doors, or we're at the state of opening up the doors to outside sponsors. I mean, we kind of are, but it's not like the league is sponsored. It's individual teams that are kind of halfway sponsored by these companies.
Yeah, it's rough. I mean, in my opinion, if the higher up people, do conference calls with us little folk, and we say what needs to change, and they say they're going to change it, and then all of a sudden, 2 months later, it's totally the opposite, and they don't want to listen. At what point do you say, "Fuck it, I'm just going to keep playing until the sport dies," or until somebody else takes it over?
Well, how much power do you think the players and the team owners have in the sport?
Well, I mean, everybody has a little bit of power, right? Everybody's got a voice, but it's all about everybody. They got to listen. You could make a petition of 9,000 people, or say, "Hey, I'm gonna buy out the NXL, or I'm gonna buy out whatever league, and try and make it better." But then you're just the next dummy that's not going to listen to anybody because you have your own view.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough, man. I could go on and on.
Yeah. Well, let's beating a dead horse at this point, but it's how did Seattle Thunder come about?
Well, when the Naughty Dogs went under in 2009-ish, I think it was 2009 when the Naughty Dogs went bankrupt because Smart Parts went bankrupt.
And paintball is expensive.
It was expensive, yes, but like Rocky worked for Smart Parts at the time, and he was putting all the money on his credit cards, and Smart Parts was paying him back.
Right.
But then Smart Parts went under, and he had $90,000 in debt or whatever it was.
Oh, jeez.
So he's like, I can't play anymore. The Naughty Dogs are done, and he wasn't gonna obviously sell the team or anything like that, which I totally understand. That's his baby, and it's up to him if he wants to do it or not. But I was actually done with paintball
at that point.
Yep, I was like, okay, I can retire. I was a manager at Dish Network at that time, and I was just like, okay, I'll just work on my career. And then one of my really good friends, who is from Canada, his name's Jeff Roth. It's like, hey man, we should continue playing paintball. I was like, how so?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I'm pretty sure we can fund a team, but I need you to be the captain of it just because you've played paintball forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, I'm done. I'm not going to do it. Thank you anyways. And then like 2 days later, my wife's like, why are you so cranky? Like, I don't know. What, is there something different? And she told me, she goes, you haven't played paintball in forever. That's why you're fucking angry. So you need to go back to play paintball.
She knows you.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, maybe you're right. So I called up Jeff again. I was like, all right, dude, I'll give you 1 year and we can go from there. And then we just started, I started calling people. I called Mikey.
What year is this?
2010. We started 2010. I think it was 2010. Whenever he had the terrible Galveston storm.
Yeah.
I think it was 2010. So I called up people who used to play with the Naughty Dogs. Some of them said yes. Some of them said no. And then I grabbed the remainder of the people from a local team that I knew that most of them had the potential to go pro. Mm-hmm. And they were Division 4 at the time. They were called Notorious, and another team called Shameless that were disbanding. So I kind of grabbed 10 guys together, and we just started playing paintball. And that's how Seattle Thunder came about.
Nice. Because I remember you guys fighting through the ranks. I came back in 2013, mid-2013, and then 14, and we kind of got picked. We were kind of picking up, but I remember you guys coming up and playing, and it was great seeing all you guys again. All the old Naughty Dogs guys, or some of the old Naughty Dog guys, and some new guys, and seeing you again playing and everything. And what's the future like of Seattle Thunder?
I take it year by year, right? It depends how my guys feel.
Mm-hmm.
If all my guys say, you know what, I'm not having fun anymore, I'm done, I'm probably not going to rebuild.
Yeah.
Because that's 9 more people I have to rebuild again. And it took a long time just to kind of be competitive in professional paintball.
Mm-hmm.
Our first tournament, we actually made Sunday in Galveston, but it was by luck.
Yeah.
X Factor ran down the field on us just trying to split skulls, and I ended up shooting a few of them and winning those points. Any other tournament, probably X Factor would have smoked the shit out of us. But it was just one of those things where they shot a lot of us off the break and they just ran down the field and forgot about me.
Yeah.
Basically.
Motherfuckers.
But yeah, I'm still here. But there were some hard tournaments
mm-hmm.
in between there. Obviously, sometimes going 0 wins, 4 losses. So
yeah.
But I'm still having fun, and of course, this area of paintball is starting to grow again, like the old days. Obviously we haven't been anywhere near the 80 teams we used to have in local tournaments, but
mm-hmm.
It's growing. But I just like growing the sport of paintball, and if there are kids willing to learn paintball in this region, I'm going to continue with Seattle Thunder. We have youth programs here at our paintball field that we bring kids up and show them paintball.
Yeah.
We have, Audrey, who is actually the team owner of Seattle Thunder and the owner of our paintball field. She brings kids who haven't had a good childhood, who are still on probation, and she has them work for them just so they kind of get a feel of paintball and kind of get them away from the area that they used to be and live in.
Right.
So there's more than just paintball with Seattle Thunder. We bring kids together. We do a lot of youth stuff. We do a lot of charity events every year. So
yeah, so you guys are really involved with community events and everything.
Audrey has basically forced us to, but we've actually Audrey's an ex-deputy sheriff, so she's community based in her mind. And at first we hated the idea, and then she's like, it's not up to you. You guys have to give something back every year.
Right.
And so, we do the local 10-man events here in the wintertime where it's nice and muddy.
Yeah.
And we give all the money to like the Boys and Girls Club, or
that's cool.
We do toys for tots and stuff like that. So, we're a professional team. You should give back to the community at some point every year, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, it also brings awareness to the cause. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, it brings awareness to the cause of growing the sport and everything, and that's really cool. That's why I was curious, because we're in the same boat. I don't know the definite answer if we don't make the cut to pro this year. Well, I kind of do. Rennick wants to cut all of our heads off and display them in the Badlands driveway, but
that's what I want to do, my guys. So.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't know what it is this year too, because there's been. Both of our teams are kind of on the lower end of everything, but I feel like we didn't really have. It wasn't that crazy of a season, honestly. If you take 5 points, at least for us, and I've seen multiple games of your guys as well. If you take 5 points of ours this year and flip it over in our favor, we're playing in Sunday on 3 events or something like that. We're at least in the top 8, like losing those overtime points. Like, I don't think we're having a terrible season with where we're at. It's just, hunkering down on the points that really matter, or the games that really matter, and just fighting through and living up to our potential.
Yeah, I think you guys Aftershock has played way better than us this whole year. I mean, like you said, going back to like Atlantic City with those close games with you guys where you guys should have made it. I think there's only been one tournament for us where we should have made it, and it was the last event when we beat Legion. And then we just basically shit on ourselves the rest of the time. Yeah.
But it goes to show what you guys can do.
I mean, 2 years ago we beat Legion 3 times in a year. Mm-hmm. Or 3 years ago. I mean, it's we can do it. It's just like you said, everybody engaging at the same time.
Yeah.
for the same cause, and executing game plans and all that stuff. It goes hand in hand. When one guy decides he's not going to do the game plan, he fucks everybody up.
Yeah, and it does happen, because now his job that he's not doing has to be taken over by somebody else, and now that person has 2 jobs because that guy's not doing his job, and it just comes down to discipline and experience, and beating it into your guys' heads with repetitive drills or whatever.
Yeah, I think the better, if the easier my guys get in there, at least for my guys, the easier it gets in their head that they're expendable. Like, they can go do what they want to do, and if they die, they die. Mm-hmm. But they get in those couple key kills, and knowing their guys behind them will follow them up and do the rest. It's
having trust in your guys and your team.
At some point, it's going to click with my guys, hopefully.
Yeah.
Because sitting back in the Dorito 1 thinking, oh, my body's, I need to stay alive instead of trying to go up the field and get kills, doesn't do any good at all.
Yeah.
It bottlenecks everybody, because my job is to. You think I like sitting in the back of the home bunker? I hate it. But when everybody around me is not moving, where am I going to go?
Yeah. Yeah.
So. It's a trifecta. One guy doesn't move, the other guy gets fucked. That's why you see me at the wall a couple times in Chicago, because that was the only place to go, up to the wall.
Yeah, well, it's such a catch-22, because obviously you want to be alive, you don't want to get shot, but at the same time, without taking a risk, you're gonna do nothing but be alive in your primary spot. You have to take those risks. You have to take those opportunities and chances.
High risk, high reward, man. It's like scared money doesn't make money. It's the same situation, right?
Boom. Well, man, I think we can end on that. I really appreciate you sitting down with me and talking to me a little bit about your history and about Seattle Thunder and the direction. And it's really good talking to you. You're one of the nicest dudes I know at the paintball field, that's for sure. And you just
I need to start being mean.
You should. I don't know. That beard's pretty intimidating.
Yeah, I'm trying to grow this beard out to be intimidating. So.
But your eyes, dude, you have kind eyes.
That's what my wife says. You've been talking to my wife.
See?
I knew it. She's not going to Cup now. Done. Canceling the ticket.
Well, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it, and I hope you guys have a great practice this weekend. And I really would love to see you guys show up at Cup and start putting it on some fools.
Well, you'll see us Thursday because we're practicing you guys.
I won't be there because I can't ever. I can't ever make Thursdays because of my work schedule.
You're cut.
Dude, you know how many times I've been cut this year? So many. Every event I get cut.
One more time. I appreciate you having me, Carl. It's always nice to talk. Help people know what Seattle Thunder's all about, and so you know everybody in the sport.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you and see you very soon.
Yes, sir. Talk to you, everybody.
Take care, man.
All right, see ya.
Thank you so much, Cory, for sitting down and having a very cool conversation with me. I really had a great time, and it was great hearing your background. Appreciate it, man. Another big thank you to our sponsors, Dr. Paintball, where you can go over there and find all kinds of cool used gear, new gear. You can finance all of that at drpaintball.com. And to GI Sports, the provider of the best paint on the planet, the Pro Circuit 5-star, but they have paint from 5-star to 1-star to field paint. So make sure you check them out, gisports.com. Also, Charm City Paintball, the makers of the headgear and the pack bands that I will have at World Cup. And he will also be there in a nice fancy booth. So thank you to Charm City. And last but not least, to Planet Eclipse, the LVR, the CS 1.5, the E-Tech, the G Mech that's coming out. That's pretty slick. So you can find all of that at planeteclipse.com. Thank you again, everybody, for listening. Very much appreciated. And I am now on, the podcast is now on Stitcher, and all of, let's see, there's Stitcher, there is, I'm trying to think of all the other ones, Overcast, it's on all platforms now. It's on the Google Play Music, so check it out, and also SoundCloud and iTunes. So I am spreading it throughout the podcast platform, and I'm also on the social medias like Instagram, Carl Markowski, and the Playing On Podcast, and Facebook at Carl Microwave Markowski and the Playing On Podcast. Thank you, everyone, again for joining me, and we will see you again soon here on the Playing On Podcast. Peace.